we do this?
I'm
All right.
whatever works.
All right. Well, what is up, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome to our 5th episode.
Episode 5.
Episode 5 of Duly Noted. We have a very special guest
this
today.
is gonna be fun.
The one, the only, the beautiful Sir Timothy Gross. Yeah.
Stop it, you. Beautiful. And this is your last episode, right?
It is.
So-
We keep saying that every week, but we keep showing up for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But this is a very special episode because Nick has gotten so much heat on the internet over about dissing on blues players.
I'm nervous, Nick.
Always.
I thought it would
Looking
be,
red, Nick.
I thought it would be beautiful to bring on Tim, a local blues player, to where we could just sit, talk, and have some fun conversation. So this is the first time doing this, having a special guest. So
Yeah, I'm gonna loosen up. I feel like I'm ready for a conference. This is pretty relaxed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little unprepared for this.
Me too.
Yeah. It was,
Tim and I have been
tell
talking all day. We're like, I can't believe that.
Talking smack.
Yeah, we're like Nick's a terrible person. Blah blah blah. Blah
He
blah.
said that. I didn't. I was like,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never
I
met the
can't
gentleman.
believe you behind my back.
Well, I mean, I say it to your face, but you never believe me. So this is a very first time in doing this, having a special guest, and
Yep.
I think it's cool that we're doing it in the way that we're doing it.
I love it.
Yeah, and if this is your first episode, what a time to join.
Yes.
Yeah, like this
I'm
is
Nick.
beautiful.
This is Tom.
This is Tim, Sir Timothy, not just Tim. He has been knighted by the Queen, and may she rest in peace.
It's true.
She rest
Yeah,
in peace.
it's true. It's true. He's knighted.
Yeah, depending on how heated this gets, I might have to take off the flannel.
Oh gosh.
Oh snap!
This,
oh man, yeah, we're gonna throw down here on
sweating
Duly Noted.
bullets.
Yeah.
It's all love.
Absolutely.
Everything's love.
All right, so you have been watching or listening to our podcast summit.
I have because I had to get some ammo to come in, so I had to see.
Gotta put one in the chamber.
I had to, yeah. Never heard of it up until a few. No, I'm joking. No, I have been. It's been great. I absolutely love the podcast. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air because we get, especially around town, you'll get new bands and people putting out music. You get put into the music part of it, and that's all you get. You know, there's not any, as far as I'm aware, there's not any comedians. There's not any podcasts. There's not, you know what I mean? You don't get a lot of that. I just kind of got into the poets side of St. Joe. I got introduced to that.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool. But no, I'm not podcast. So this is great, and it's enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah.
Because I do like listening to podcasts. I don't know if you're allowed to say it. I like listening to like conversation based, conversate, and you guys fit that role real well too. So.
Well, and I mean, I have started listening to more and more podcasts. I mean, granted, I listen to my own, obviously, but
Yeah, me too.
I
just love to hear Tom talk.
Just love to hear because I just can't shut up is the problem.
Is that when you go to sleep?
Just take it off. You're like, and we're done.
I gotta tell Tom I'm listening to the Tom Killer White Noise ASMR.
Yeah, there we go. Oh my gosh! But I mean, I listen to Two Bears, One Cave. Do you know that one? That is Tom Segura and Bert Kreschner.
Oh
They're
goodness.
both comedians, and it's so beautiful.
Well, I know the two.
Yeah,
That's cool.
They're very outlandish and very. Man, they keep you on your toes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
They keep you on your toes, and it's probably one of the most enjoyable, hilarious things I have seen to date. Because I follow it on TikTok. I watch it on YouTube. It's super fun.
Cool.
But yeah, so tell you what. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background, Tim? Because you have quite the history. You have 3 bands, or are there more?
6.
6 bands.
Only 6.
Oh my gosh.
6 projects.
Let's
yes.
Okay, so we've got
So we got the new one that you might not know. We have Party Rock.
Okay.
Party
What's
Rock
that?
is he's such a good friend that I am going to mispronounce his last name. John I want to say McLean just because every Christmas.
McLean,
Is
yeah.
it McLean because
Jonathan McLean, yeah.
I send him Die Hard stuff every
Oh yeah.
Christmas. But for some reason maybe it's spelt a little different, but I want to say it's McLean. Anyway, he's a DJ around town.
Yep.
And he does have a band as well. He'll do like pop covers, your Taylor Swift's and
Okay. Is this the one you're in, or
this is one I'm in. So me and Brian Smith,
Another drummer with another slew of bands that
Yep.
he's in. Yeah.
So I'm in that. I play bass or guitar in that.
Okay.
That's more John's thing, and I'm just being a musician in it, which is cool to call myself. We have, you know what? And I'm actually going to keep this a little top secret ish, kind of.
Okay.
Or maybe this is the place to do it. I don't know. I'm either going to get yelled at for dropping this or not.
Go for it.
We have there's a gentleman in town named Matthew Sharp. He does an Elvis tribute to like, he dresses up and sounds dead on like him. It's killer, and he moves. It's pretty cool. He played at Cafe here not long ago.
Okay,
A
I
couple
saw that
times,
show.
actually.
Yeah.
So we've been toying about putting a band behind him, which I like Elvis. So I think Brian.
Is that what I'm seeing at the Christmas showcase? Is that what's happening?
I don't know.
Never mind.
I'll be there. He'll be there.
Someone will be there. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe you should be there. So me and Brian have been. Brian was more Brian's idea because he was the one that pulled that one out of thin air. So that one's really cool. So those are 2 new ones that we've been getting into. The main, I would say the main 4, not to take attention from the other ones, but main 4.
Main 4.
We have Stranger in Paradise, which is 80s hair
cover,
metal.
yeah.
It's like Poison, Cinderella, such like that.
Interesting.
I play keys in that. I attempt to play keys in that. I'm not a keyboard player, but it's been really cool because we pushed outside your comfort zone and sink or swim. Swim on a majority of it, sink on some others. But it's been real cool to.
So how long have you been playing with those guys? I didn't realize you were in that project.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how long I've been in it, and maybe a year, if that.
Okay.
Maybe not even a year, but maybe a year.
Okay.
That was just one of those. They had a keyboard player sit in after like a couple of their shows, and I mean, I saw the show that they had the keyboard player sit in for a couple songs, and it's that sound. I mean,
yeah,
it's that pop thing that it sounds like a rock band, but there's just layers of pads of keys underneath that just thicken the whole thing up. So, Brian invited me to sit in on that and try to fill that sound out. We've been, it's been really good on that, and we're starting to like dabble in like those big harmonies.
Yeah,
and like Striper and some of those bands that were, obviously like church musicians. They're very, very ungodly talented church musicians that have that tight, beautiful sound that only it only comes from that. So, which I think Striper was.
Yeah.
You can fact check or however you do any of that, or I'm just going to talk smack and you can choose to believe it like they did back in the day. So, but bands like that, so that's been fun. So, you got Party Rock, Matt Sharp's Elvis band, Stranger in Paradise, Monday's Child, which is
that's your baby.
That's my baby. That's me and Dave's baby. Me and Dave started that. But that's that. I've taken a lot of initiative with that one because I love blues.
That is a blues project, Nick, and it's pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Said Nick with such a luster.
Nicholas.
So we got Monday. Must try. We tracked the drums in Kansas City for that. I'm just now getting. I got one song done, mixed and done, so I'm getting on that so we can release that.
Yeah, didn't you guys like just do like a music video not too long ago?
We did for our our other act, Grindstone Creek. I play guitar in that one. It's a country rock, a little bit of punk, a little bit of other stuff band. But Grindstone Creek, they've been around for a minute, and we are just now releasing our second album. With December 3rd, we're having our show at Cafe Acoustic. Yeah, we just filmed a music video for it, for our song Pan Shot Anthem, which I think will be coming out pretty soon, the music video, and then the show.
Nice.
So in Grindstone, they're a little bit rowdier group. So
Rowdier.
if you ever go to or one of the shows, it's super. I mean, all of the bands are pretty high energy.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Well, and then your last band. I know what your
And
last band is.
And
Yeah.
then I guess we have been moving up
Yeah.
in terms of rowdiness because Mondays can get pretty rowdy. That twist and shout, you'll pop a hip. I'm telling you, boy. And our last band, it's Brian and his brother, they've been in this band for about 30 years. It's Hemlock. It's a metal band out of Vegas. And that's like I said, Brian and his brother have been in that for about 30 years.
Yeah.
And
that's a crazy large, I mean, not, I want to say large, it's a very successful metal band.
Very
I mean,
successful.
because which I know that you've just gotten your first kind of rap, like touring with the band.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got your first run of that, but I know that like Hemlock has literally toured with like Slipknot, Lamb of God,
Slayer.
like legit. Yeah. Like, I mean, we're talking like, yeah, that's some heavy hitters.
Yes.
So that's a crazy successful project. So I mean, kudos to you, man. That's such a sweet gig. Like,
Dude.
And you know what? As far as musicianship, it's I love playing the guitar, and anything
Welcome to the
about
club.
and it's to me, and this goes into the blues thing as well. It's all about attitude. All the music I like has attitude and something to say.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no like quote unquote guitar. You probably is, but quote guitar in it. Like I'm a big fan of like NWA and Ice Cube, music that has attitude.
yeah.
That exact same thing goes across the country. Stuff with attitude. As
Yeah.
long as you got attitude and you mean, as long as you have something to say and you mean what you say, that's it for me.
It's got some grip behind it. It's,
So I was a fan of Hemlock before the Brian asked. There was once upon a time where, before COVID, they dropped 2 albums at the time, in I think 2020. They dropped 2 albums simultaneously, and they were going to tour and all that stuff. Well, at the time right before that, they were looking for guitar players, auditioning or making sure people had passports, all that stuff. And I had all the credentials, but I wasn't a metal guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to metal, but I'm not a metal guitar player. Well, fast forward, Hemlock got into a bind midway through their Violence and Victory tour, with one of the albums that dropped, because they did tour on it like right when stuff I think started opening up and you could play shows and stuff.
Yeah.
They got into a snag where both their guitar players, they had to one had to go home, the other one got sick and couldn't,
Yeah.
and they weren't gonna come back. So instead of canceling shows, when the first guy couldn't do it, our boy Jared Johnson Brian called him because Jared's
He's a
shred
crazy shredder.
meister.
Yeah, he's crazy good. I'm not really friends with Jared yet, but I know, like, I've seen him play, and yeah, he's killer guitar player.
Yeah, absolutely. Shred circles around me. He makes me look good.
That's okay.
I started dropping weight just so I could keep up. But he got that, so he has about like a week on me, because as he was going out, the other guy dipped, and Jared held the Hemlock boat, kept it afloat for like a good few days or 4 days, until they had a little gap, and then that Brian called me. He's like, I just if you could learn like 4 songs for 2 days worth of shows, do you think you can do that? And I was looking at the tour schedule, and there was a date in Minneapolis after their break, and that's where I went to college. And I thought, oh, what a cool thing. I said, how about this? How about I learn like 10 songs? I just shot out a crazy number. How about I do 10 songs and I meet you and do 4 days? I'm like, oh, that would be killer, dude. So I was actually on my way to visit my mom. And before I left, I made myself a little practice rack with an 11 rack.
Okay.
And like a little mixer. And I took a guitar with me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, going to see Mom. By the way, I'm practicing every morning for like 4 hours. And it was like the same way you learn classical music, in the way I did classical music, but it's the same way you do classical music, where it's like top to bottom. Mm-hmm. Just because it's so far outside of what I normally play. Because when you play blues, country, that whole side of it, it's easier for me to think of what theory I do know and techniques I do know. Whereas metal, it is top to bottom, play it.
Well, I mean, in blues, you have improvisation. A lot of it's feel. So I mean, you get like the players are literally just vibing off of one another. Metal, it's like this is the form.
Yes.
Don't you dare vary from this form.
Well, and like Chad writes such amazing songs that move people and bounce and all that stuff. You don't want to. There's no reason to do like that whole thing. It is, but it's also like play chunky, play heavy, and all that stuff. So like in all the metal I do like, is the same way. So any metal I'm familiar with, it's not like power metal. It's more like propane and stuff like that, which stuff that's just, it moves you. So it was very easy to get into that style, play that style, not so much to learn the songs, because you still had to learn the songs.
Yeah.
But that just comes with being a musician. You know what I mean?
You spend the time.
You spend the time, you get into it, and you build the confidence. Once the confidence is there, to me, the confidence comes from knowing the song. As long as you know the song, the confidence is there. I can go up there and jump around as much as I could at the time, jump around and do and have fun. So, and we're already at the point where I don't even know what we're talking about, but Hemlock.
Hemlock, yeah.
Hemlock's cool.
Yeah.
That was how I got into Hemlock, though.
Which that's truly a super crazy cool project to be a part of. Like, I would love, not to say that I could, even come close to holding my own in a group like that.
Oh, you could.
But it's such a cool thing. I mean, you guys are endorsed by Ernie Ball and ESP Ltd, right?
ESP and LTD.
And PV too.
And PV. Yeah.
You guys toured the factory. Yeah.
This last tour, we went to the PV headquarters.
That's what
it was.
Yeah.
That was super cool. I got to touch the very first PV amp ever built.
Really?
I'm getting close and real sensual with this here microphone to get the point across.
I'm not sure he likes that, or she likes that. I don't know.
2022, Tom.
Yeah, no, come on.
No, I got to tour the headquarters, and they had obviously like memorabilia and stuff from all over. But yeah, the very first PV amp that he built in his garage was there, and I'm just like just trying to soak up any like,
this is history here.
It was it was the same thing I did when I was in Europe. Like, you go to all the like the monuments and all this stuff from like crazy history and stuff. Like, you don't know how to soak it all in, so you just stare at it, snap a photo, stare at it some more, and you just think about all the history it's gone through. And like, so my thing, what I would do is I just go, there, I touched it.
Yeah.
I know it's a very juvenile way to act, but it's like I touched it. So
hey, that's all right, man.
they had a lot of B.B. King, blues guitar player, a lot of his stuff there.
You gotta tell me that. Don't gotta tell me that.
Okay, I just making sure.
Yeah,
I'm here to help.
Nick knows about the blues. He just hates it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, good.
Like I used to listen like, I don't know the word, but intently to blues. I used to.
No, I actually.
It was a phase.
It was a phase.
It was a phase.
It was a phase.
It was never a phase.
I don't tell
Mom.
my kids about.
Yeah.
Daddy, I like blues. Where'd I go wrong?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very cool. We did. The whole factory was cool. Our head rep showed us like their conference room where they buy. They'll with like buyers and schools or whoever, and they had like every brand in there, just to show like why PV's great.
Okay.
And like, so they'll like strip stuff apart and be like, this is why PV's better.
I mean, I had one of my from the Kindred days, a rock band project that I was the front man for back in the day.
Very successfully.
I
loved Kindred.
I liked it too. It was a cool project. But I ran a which we're talking about. I had sent some of the guys some like, you guys want some stickers? We got some merch now, bro. And they're like, when is Kindred gonna come on and like be a special guest? And I'd be like, we can get back together, guys.
Oh my!
So it was this very like touching like moment here. But what I was going to say was, back in the Kindred days, I ran a 6505. Like, I ran like the micro head, a 210 cab or 212 cab. Like, that was what my go-to was before I went like completely digital and like line 6 and all that stuff. So, but man, it's solid stuff.
And
Crazy.
I got to comment on this too, because I have vivid memories, because I'm a youngin', right? I'm only 20 here, only.
Yeah, he can't even. Yeah, he can't go to our shows, Tim.
Did I tell you I almost got kicked out of my first show I played?
For real?
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
I almost got kicked out of my first show I played when I was
some places they will not let you play unless you're 21.
well, that's how I almost got kicked out.
Yeah.
You ruined my story.
Oh.
It's not like back in our day, Tom.
But I've when I was 14, before I started taking lessons, I remember it was at the nondescript guitar store. We were my mom had dropped me off I was just checking them out while she was doing whatever. And I just remember sitting like crisscross. I picked a guitar off and I was just sitting on the floor in front of a PV 6505, just like
Yeah.
It's memories like that, core memories, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't afford to have one now, but it's it's like, even when that's like my whole persona, is just like play like you're a kid, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's like the metal, like that is the metal, that or a 5150, like a 5150.
That's what
6505,
Hemlock
yeah.
uses, 6505.
Yeah.
Plus for the mains, I believe, and then they have the 6505 mini heads.
See, that's
for backups.
For backups.
For backups.
See, that's what I used for my amp. Was the 6505 MH20, like the little head. Yeah, that's what I used for my main amp because they have a line out, and like 20-watt tubes is plenty loud. Of course, we're not playing like arenas or stadium shows or stuff like that. So yet. I mean,
always
yeah.
Give it time.
The word is yet. Yeah, for sure. But they're killer stuff. Crazy fun things. So, well, to move things on a little bit.
Tom's been dying.
So yeah, I know. I have a list of like things to talk about.
Well,
which
before you get into that, I want to. What was the before we like the stuff that you wanted? I think you're probably gonna lead into this, like what people are saying, because I will.
You want to know what people said?
Yes.
So Nick, I posted a video of Nick a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, about him dissing on blues players. That's why we're having this episode now with a local blues player. And it got tons. I had tons of people tag me and stuff. Sir Timothy Gross was one of those people. I had messages on Facebook. I had people commenting on our video. Not a ton of people commenting on TikTok, but we had one guy comment, "Who is this?"
I saw that.
To go off that, he stalked my profile.
Or did he?
Yeah,
because you have the views on, or
and I look and I'm like, dude, somebody's looking at my TikTok. I don't even have anything on it. Like, it's just like the nondescript like profile pic where it's like the outline, and I've got like.
So wait, he looked at your actual.
Yes, he looked at my profile.
That's funny because there's no. That's funny.
He found me.
You're just making people up to like.
Yeah.
And still, you deep faked me.
Yeah, now you can tell that Nick is a real person.
Yes,
Sadly, he is a real person.
Sadly, it had to happen.
The person there was another person who commented on that first video, Nick, and it is someone who I think you will think highly of their opinion. And he said, he commented on that first video, and he said, "I am going to save this for Nick when he's older and shame him."
Who was it?
This was none other than Josh Myers.
No way!
Oh my goodness!
Oh, dude.
Which, if, for those of you watching, Josh Myers is a phenomenal.
Well, before you even go into this, so some backstory for me, because I'm a guitar player with churches, and the first church I played at was the church that Josh Myers, he plays at, and he does the youth stuff, and he was like, hey. He would just be like running me through the stuff because he runs that, or I don't know who's doing it now, but that's really funny.
Yeah, bro. He commented on that, and he's just like, "I'm gonna save this just so I can shame Nick."
I mean, feel free, man.
Every birthday, like 10 years from the bring up the home videos.
But Josh, he's a super successful guitar player. I mean, like.
Oh yeah,
he's got profiles with like Tone Junkie. He has his own signature Tajima guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just absolute monster with a heavy influential blues background. Yeah. So, but but that was the one that I thought you.
That is. I was worried you were gonna say it was the two that I mentioned before.
He's like, if this person or this person commented, they're the only two that I think their opinion will matter. And I was like, no, I think this one's gonna matter to you, Nick.
I don't know. I don't know. They're still pretty high up there.
They're, in your opinion, you're like, okay, their opinion weighs like equally or somewhat.
I think
more,
it's more.
yeah.
Honestly.
Okay.
And it's not because of like any meritocracy. Like let's
Hey,
get that straight.
That's all right.
This is just how it goes in the world of Nick. You're just all playing in my game.
Wow.
Hey, that's all right. Nick he truly doesn't care what we think. That's
No.
what we know. But, he's a young pup. He'll learn in time.
I was like, under the impression I was like, whatever I don't know can't hurt me. But then I'm like, well, even what I do know still can't really hurt me. And
Am I invincible?
but well, of like the stuff that people were saying, because I was like going on Facebook, like people I've seen my profile, so like some of them had to have left comments, and I was like, okay, let's see what people are saying. Nobody.
It's because you don't look at the right spot.
I guess.
Yeah, because people were commenting on your post.
I had people send me messages.
Did they really?
Yeah, I had people send me that.
What?
Because I think you sent it to me on TikTok first.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And we had our laugh, but then I think you posted it on your Facebook, maybe.
I posted it somewhere.
You
yeah,
posted
maybe
it
Instagram
publicly,
or something, yeah.
and then either tagged me or something. But people who didn't even know that you were messing with me or anything, sending it to me as a haha or anything, were sending it to me dude, Tom's
he's coming after you.
Yeah, like this. But
it wasn't me. I'm not the one saying the mean
I
stuff.
know. I'm sorry.
But it was funny because I had the people who are like, oh, ha ha, which was cool. And then I had the people who were, oh, dude, you see this? And then I had the people like, bro, I can't believe it. I can't believe Tom would do that. I had all of those.
Oh my God.
My favorite one, and I
so
figured
funny.
this would make you guys feel good. I had a friend from Italy send it to me saying, check this out. And it was a friend of mine.
And it was our thing?
It was your thing. Now, I don't know if it was one of those things like algorithm world.
That's funny, dude.
Because we're both
crazy.
friends, and then she's a friend of mine.
I'll probably put in that.
It's probably I put it in the same voodoo that when you're thinking about air fryers, it knows it and it
Big Brother's listening.
Yeah. Like whoever is your designated FBI Big Brother that lives in your phone.
Yeah.
My name's Todd. He's a cool dude. He it had to have been that, but she sent it to me, and she didn't know that we knew each other.
That is so.
So
funny.
it was
That's
this big
crazy.
full circle, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Tom. Like he works at Lanham's and yada yada.
They know that we're buddies. They're like, oh,
and they're like, that's so. It's like, yeah, it's like he's a buddy of mine. It's like that's crazy, and I'm like, and I said it's crazier that you saw it and didn't know that.
That is
so.
That is
your
insane.
stuff is officially overseas,
Dude, we're worldwide.
And
so
the funny thing is, I actually knew that we were going international this week because we started getting views from Germany and Europe.
Oh, nice.
And so I can see our
That's
analytics,
insane.
and so I'm like, wow, we have 2% listening from Germany.
That's awesome.
What's that about?
Which that 2% is probably 1 or 2 people.
I mean, realistically,
but still,
'cause we're
that's
not-
pretty cool.
Which I mean, we're seeing consistent growth, which I think that's cool. That means we're probably
Yeah.
doing something right. So, but
Have to
Not to overuse the word, but the organic growth is better than.
yeah, then just going viral once and
I mean, there's even
there's
going
some-
viral is cool, but it's worse is when if you have to either pay for the advertising or pay for the whatever, and then it's like
it just happens.
100,000
naturally.
blah blah blah, and 6 people monthly listen, or when those
Yeah.
numbers are that far off, it's
Yeah. Well, my goal is, so if anyone's listening to this, please tell your friends about this, because my goal, I want to get us to at least 50 monthly listeners on Spotify. I think it'd be really cool if we could get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's possible, but
sure.
But the more that we do that, the more that we can have fun with this, and
Yeah.
if we start making money, that's when it'll be really cool.
Tom's looking at it at the number scale. I'm just if I can be
watching the world burn.
If I can be a little funnier each time, then that's
That's a spectrum.
that's my.
If I can
I'm good.
upset and call out another demographic.
At least one more person. If I can.
You know what?
Don't get me started on metal guitar players.
Well,
and then our special guest this week to back up metal guitarist Tim from Hemlock.
Yeah, right. You're back again.
Oh, man.
Don't get me started on country guitar players. We're back again.
Well, okay. Tell you what.
Well, I don't want to. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, he's like, I'm country man. I can't get behind.
Country,
Well, I feel
country
like-
or country guitar players?
Yes. It depends.
I will say, I will
Depends.
be honest. Country is not my thing. Well, certain country is not my thing. I grew up in a small town, and we basically had 3 radio stations to choose from.
Country,
And
western.
it was country, classic rock, and then there was one that was like a pop station.
Yeah.
And I gravitated towards the classic rock and sometimes the pop, but I never listened to the country because
Well-
I was like, that's what my mom listened
Yeah.
to, and I just. But I mean, not to say that I don't enjoy country, but
No,
it's,
I
it's
don't-
got to be certain types of
I
country,
don't
like
enjoy
southern rock
country.
country. Yeah.
And my whole thing about country is, and I was thinking about this, and I had a really good argument for this. And this was not planned, by the way. Yeah, this country topic. But it was like, why do I not like country? Because like, if I'm gonna not like it, I need to have at least a reason. Right?
I'm going to be honest. One of my most favorite shows I ever played was a country show.
Really?
And I played. We played down in Kansas City at the Voodoo Lounge.
Oh, nice.
And that's a big auditorium, and we opened up for a country rapper named Second Chance, who was on tour with Lil Nas.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was like a crazy show.
Wow.
And we actually, our little country rock band, we had a better turnout than Second Chance did.
That's funny.
It was insane.
Local
And
support.
it was absolutely wild. And then I was like, bro, like, I want to do this project now. Like, let's do
Yeah.
it. And then the guy, I love him to death. He moved away. So he's nowhere near now, but he's living his best life. He's like doing
sure.
conservation stuff, but I mean, dude had a voice of like an angel, but like, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it was such a cool experience. But
But to finish what I was saying,
yes,
kind of my deal with country is that with music that I tend to dislike, and this is mutually exclusive from the blues topic, so don't out me here. But I saved myself. You see that?
Disclaimer.
Yeah, but I think country is like the biggest. It's the most obvious, where it's like it's not about what like the like what's being said, like the lyrics or the music. It's about like the sound of it. You know, that they're not playing country for a reason. You know, it's that it's just, you know, for maybe I'm not explaining this like very well, but
Are you getting into like a manufactured kind of?
yeah, where it's like
I think I know what you mean.
and I wish I remembered how I worded
are
this.
you wanting to say like structurally, like it's all like a carbon copy of one another kind of?
Yeah, where it loses
Yeah.
it because like the influences are the people that they've heard,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
and
I'd
it's
say
not,
that's-
and
yeah.
so the country that you hear is probably closer to pop.
Oh, it's very no. I think
actually,
what you're
yeah.
describing is pop country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not to-
well, because there is country that I've listened to, and I forget who it is, but somebody put me onto this artist Coulter Wall.
Oh yeah, Coulter.
And
oh,
I
yeah.
really I mean he's, I wouldn't say small, but I mean less than 10 million on Spotify. Like if you look at the top 5, it shows. This is how I gauge like how popular.
It's like
a
if you
song-
have less than 10 million
but
views,
like a big band like the Foo Fighters, like all their songs in their top 5, those have over like 500 million like listens.
well, you're talking about like one of the largest
Yeah.
rock projects ever made.
But that's like
yeah.
how I gauge it, and then like you have bands under them like I forget who, but they'll have like, you know, their top songs like 100 million and the rest like 60,
Yeah.
50, 40, and then you'll have, you know, like Coulter Wall where it's 10 million and like 7, 1 million, 100,000.
Once in Coulter Wall, I mean, in the country community, I'd say the Red Dirt fans and the guys who don't gravitate towards the pop country side, I think all know who he is, as well. In my opinion, they should, because that's a real form of country.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this as well. You and I definitely gravitate towards similar things more than not. And there's your plot twist on this. I'm not even here to add him on his wrong views on blues. I'm here to agree
Yeah.
because
okay.
because you were talking about how, it's cool to have your identity, and if you're going to sell somebody, you're a product of, especially music, which is supposed to be self-expression of some kind. Not necessarily it's all about you, but it comes from you. So to completely mimic what comes before, or completely mimic another style or another artist, if you're getting into the business just to make the monies, that's a great way to do it. And I mean, who are any of us to argue? I mean, the results are in the crooked Spotify logos. So it's the same thing with blues, and there's every genre has it. Mm-hmm. But country is one of those I think is very guilty of it, in the sense of, and pop as well. But country is very
mainstream. We're talking about mainstream, like
product,
genres,
like Detroit assembly line. Yeah, and Tony Joe White, who was a great country guy, even said it. He said you'd get on the radio in his time, and he says you couldn't pick anybody out because the guys would go into the building with their briefcases. The two guys come up with a hook. Mm-hmm. Go to lunch at noon, finish the song, find the guy to sing it, find the bass player who could play it, and the drummer who probably been on the last 30 projects, get the singer to record it. These guys are going to make their money. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll tour to make them more money, and then as soon as the numbers drop, they kick them out and they move on to the next one. Yeah. And that's only 3 weeks worth of work.
I wonder how much of like modern day music that's produced is like the big ones that have that structure. I wonder how much of those like come from within the same studios, like the same producers and the same. Mm-hmm. I'm sure like they've got a.
And I can't like state a reference, so this could be not very credible. But disclaimer. But I remember reading something of like there's like 4 producers that like all the stuff that you hear on like your pop radio. It's just they make all that. I don't know, but it's
they're just like
crazy.
They're just like the artists, in the sense, if you're churning out numbers, you're going to get the call, not necessarily from the artist, but from the record label. You're the one that's going to call because you're producing the sound that they need for whatever's popular at the time. And not bashing, because again, it's, what do I know?
Well, I mean, that's true though.
And plus, because either way, like arguing against it, it's just like a losing battle either way.
Well, if you have a contract with the label, they set expectations for you. So I mean, there are constantly like times where like Britney Spears, whenever she got done with her contract, she was able to like do all of her stuff, or there's all kinds of artists where what's the big one? Kesha like had their lawsuit. Yeah, so like she wanted to give away from her label because she wanted to do her own thing, but the label wouldn't let her do that. So
even bigger one would probably be Prince.
Oh, see, I don't even know.
Prince, Tom Petty, when Damned the Torpedoes was coming out, I think had something similar where the record company they were going to finish it or whatever, but they were basically just going to shelve it. Yeah, and that's that had Refugee on it, and you talk about an album. Yeah, and and people like Tom Petty and people who really fight for it, make it happen. But you know what? Is there a reverse to that? Because in a day where any Joe Schmo can get a laptop and Pro Tools, does that and everyone got their dream? Because back, I remember in 2005 when it was everybody wanted to put out a record, and I had guys in high school that did put out a record. They were hustling them out of their book bags. Yeah. Bus Seats on Bleachers was the name of the album. Yeah, I'm gonna tag my buddy in that. He's gonna go, oh, I actually found the album the other day. But it took so much to record your own album in like 2005 than it is now.
Well, and now it's so much. You have so much just access to everything.
You got plugins you can click presets on, and I mean, not dogging any of it, because I use presets too in my studio.
It's beautiful. I mean, well, and that's kind of like the new world though. Like 10 years ago, I mean, basically anyone that uses like a main label studio, they're like a big mega pop star basically, because almost the most popular thing to do now is people they do the indie route.
Yep.
They record their own music just
Yep.
because it's so accessible. You can watch videos online, how to get into it,
Yep.
how to use, plugins, settings, how to
Yep.
use compression, how to normalize, do all this stuff. So, I mean, the knowledge, it's just readily available.
And does that mean you're getting better music?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
And the competitiveness, is that there as well? So is there evil business that goes on? Absolutely. How many people, just listen to anything. Wu-Tang is hella smart when it comes to some of that stuff. And listen to them and the Black Keys.
Yeah.
Listen to them break it down. Guys who went through the process. And the whole process is just, unless you're like Michael Jackson level or you're Metallica level, or I've played with Psycho Stick on with Hemlock.
Yeah.
We opened up for Psycho Stick. Now in high school, you couldn't get away from the beer song.
Yeah.
You couldn't get away from Pla. And you're like, that was huge. And to have a song, like to have a music video, to have an album that was hugely popular, and just everybody passed around the name, that was a success. And they're still great. They still make great stuff. But there's this huge gap of nobody knows who you are, and you're selling out theaters. And to have all this middle range of, unless you're backed, nobody knows who you are. You know what I mean? Like Hinder, for instance. Like I got a buddy he toured with Hinder here recently. And bless them, ever since they changed singers maybe, but they're not headlining Rockfest anymore.
Oh no. You see all of these bands come through, like, because working at the music store, I've seen my fair share of touring musicians come through. I got to meet the guys of Saving Abel, which I don't know if you remember the song, I'm so addicted to all the things you do, and they came through, and I was like, where are you guys playing? And they're like, we're playing over at and I was like,
it's not open anymore. It's all right.
No, it's not. Oh, well, sorry,
they retired.
Okay, that's probably for the best. No, I'm kidding. I don't know this.
That was a fun room. We played there a couple times. It was a fun room.
It was, I was kind of shocked, because that's where they played, and I was like, man, you guys are like a polished band with like a label, and you're playing at this tiny little place, and I know it just caught me off guard. I was like, well, sometimes you don't always stay successful, like you don't always stay in the limelight. So
it's crazy to think, like, unless you have that, you don't play Sprint Center or anything, you know what I mean? Because back then, if you threw Buck Cherry, Saving Abel, and Hinder on a bill, you could sell out.
Oh yeah, back in the
stadium
2000s, like 2006, 2007, yeah.
So, and then like learning the business and stuff, and learning that, and this is how I know where Hemlock is in the business. They're right next to all those guys, fighting for the slot to open for, whatever, like Lamb of God and
just the big rock thing.
Yeah, like
the metal,
Hemlock being because they'd been with Lamb of God and Slayer, and they'd done those tours with those guys, and I think Lamb of God, they just released an album. They had a big push on this new album, so I don't know if they changed labels. I don't know how it happened, but they're playing with Megadeth, and they came off that, and they were doing their own thing and stuff. So like to get in touch with Lamb of God it's impossible, because they're doing this thing instead of perhaps what, like you said, like Saving Abel, who is playing Amnesia 2. And but like I said, is it their fault? No, they're still great. You can still be a great band, but if you don't have the 10 million budget push that you do every year. Yeah.
Well, and that, you're culturally, just talking about, like, you don't see the want from that people anymore. St. Joe, you might get some of that from here, but that type of, like, the Breaking Benjamin, the 3 Days Grace, or the all the Rockfest guys or whatever, it's not as prevalent anymore. Like you just don't see it. They're not what the masses want, unfortunately. It's just not a thriving genre, if you will.
And getting back to, like, do you do it for the paycheck? Do you do it to put the art out and stuff? I don't know, like, it's a shame when a band that you really love puts out an album and it's just not good. Yeah. But it was like, like you guys, it was like you listen back to it, you're like, this was so successful. And some bands you listen back and you just go, wow, this sounds terrible. And then there's others that they still have like these great albums. And then like 3 down the road, it's like you, obviously this was the big push. Obviously this was trying to keep with it. Obviously this was trying to come back from when the last one didn't. And then you have these two that you obviously had to budget yourself, and you didn't have the top 5 Grammy producer telling you to not say these words and blah, blah, blah. And it just, when you start stripping it all back, what do you have left? And it sucks. You know what I mean? But, you know, and then there's bands like, the completely other end of the spectrum. There's a band called Freight Train Rabbit Killer.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love those guys.
It just makes so cool. Killer music time after time. And if you try to put a producer with them to tell them exactly what to do, it would ruin it. Yeah. Like nobody, I've introduced that band to so many people, and it is the same thing every time that got me into it. It is either you absolutely love it or you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Mark, one of the singers, is the best vocalist for that band. Him and Chris are the best vocalists for that band.
It's very obscure music. I don't know if Nick's refined palate would be.
Well,
okay, no, you can't say it like that.
I'll say this is a blues act.
It is, yeah. But
if they're good,
I'll tell you this:
it's a different type of blues. It's like a.
Well, that's what
it is. If Robert Johnson.
Okay.
If there was like a path of Robert Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was ever a path from Robert Johnson that just stayed consistent and evolved with the electric sound, because to me it diverges, and you get Muddy Waters, and you get all these guys and BB King and Albert King and all these guys. Mm-hmm. It's smoother and still gritty, but it gets a little smoother and more polished. And then you get the guys wanting to replicate that. They get a little more poppy with it, and then you get like your Stevie Ray Vaughns, which is just dead on perfect aggression of what that sound is. But then you got this other sound that it didn't change. It just got a little more electrified and weird, and you get Freight Train Rabbit Killer. Doom Blues is the name of the genre.
That is what it is.
Okay.
It's fun. It's different. Yeah.
They were playing at Magoon's, and we were there with some friends, and the bartender was like, you guys come back next week or whatever for, it was his birthday bash and leaving town bash. And they had Freight Train coming up, and we're like, nah, who are they? And he goes, it's like Donnie Darko meets the blues. And we're like,
that is perfect.
What?
Yes. That is
I
the best
have not been floored by an act like that since then. And the only other time was when I saw them with a full band. It's just the two guys, and they play just like with a mic in the guitar case, stomping on it, and slide blues. But he plays this, I think, giant piece of magnesium steel guitar body that he made. And Mark plays an acoustic that he just like shoved a pie pan in the middle of it to create this dobro. Okay. And it's just simply, and they have like 5 amps behind them that create this weird sound. I have never since this point heard a band play, and I just stood there, jaw dropped, just stared at them for their whole set, just mesmerized.
It's beyond captivating.
That's my sales point for Freight Train.
Yeah, they are. The first time I saw them, I didn't know what to expect, because someone was telling me, man, you got to check this out. And it's very raw.
Mm-hmm.
It's very it's its own thing. It's cool.
That's so cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, you got to go in with an open mind. Just be aware of that. It may not be your thing. It may not. There's a good chance it may not be your thing.
If you're going into music thinking like, oh, I'm not gonna like it, or I'm gonna love it, I think you've already set yourself up for disappointment. Because I always like to go in neutral, man.
To me, you don't come out of it thinking, oh, that was neat. You either go, that's not for me, and not even in a horrible way, just that's not for me, or that was the best thing I've ever seen.
That was yeah.
But we were talking about like your pop format and the traditional biz, and then you got nowadays where everything's more indie, and they got signed and they've toured Europe already and all that jazz, and you get this project that you either like it or you don't, and it is what it is. And I love that, because you can get great music out of. You get the best producer. You like the country thing. You get the best producer, the best song, the best singer, and you put it all together and you get great music. I have nothing wrong with pop country. It is what it is, though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say like for me, Chris Stapleton doesn't necessarily fall into that category because that Traveler album sounds like a 4 or 5 piece band went into a studio and cut that album. It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like a conglomerate of what can we get to make, you know what I mean? He won I don't know how many awards that year for that album.
I mean,
but you get that, and then you get Colton Wall.
Yeah,
You get him, throw him in that category too, because his stuff is very throwback country.
Yeah.
That country that, you know, all the pop country guys love to brag about in their music. I'll go
Well, you
on.
get like all of the guys where it's like, what's the Kane Brown or whatever? You got the Heaven song, or they're all the same form.
Yeah.
I mean, it just every song. Not to say like every song sounds
Yeah.
pop country. The songs sound like
and that's what
all
I'm
the
saying,
other
like,
songs.
chasing like this,
Yeah.
like just to play country to play country.
Yes.
Yeah,
not because the music that you're writing is like it how it complements what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's what I was trying to go for, is that like the music should complement the lyrics and not the music being just like a backbone for your whatever, you know, saying.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I could stop me.
No, it's like it's as long as you got tempo, key, and pick 3 subjects, you can have a pop hit or a pop hit. You throw a little twang, it's country.
Yeah.
And again, that's probably just complaining or just thinking, you know, everything's saying that. But at the same time, it's like there's a reason people think it. And you get a gem every now and then, but it's, you know, give it 6 months, rewrite the same song, you'll have that same hit again. Rock did this, in my opinion. Rock did the same thing. Rock is a shell of itself. The guys who are inspired by those bands we grew up with, that are making their own bands, singing this, they're not lyricists, so they only know how to parrot lyrics. That I think we all do at some point, where you're trying to write songs you're trying to write, so you use what you know and then you break out of your shell. Some guys get trapped, and it's like you're like, so what's the rock thing, especially back then, even now, but back then it was, let's write about a girl. Trying to think, there's just certain lyrics that just get recycled, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
she's the devil's daughter kind of thing, like
Or
just stuff like that.
Fire burning with desire.
Yeah, it's like you just get
Stuff like
these,
that.
You just get these things, and when you hear it 15 years later, you're like, ugh.
Not again. You're
Well, it's
yeah.
like, come on, I thought we moved past this. Let's
Yeah.
describe that lady in another way, or
Yeah.
even in the exotic sense. But let's try something else. We've heard this, you know what I mean? And thankfully, I've never heard a blues song repeat itself. So
He was being facetious.
A little bit.
um,
That's funny.
but like you know, blues is a culprit in itself. And honestly, I'll say right now that especially in Mondays when we're trying to develop like a 4-hour set, especially wanting to work on like soloing and improvising and all that stuff. Recently, like I'll get in these jams where I even tell Brian after the show, and I'll tell Dave, I feel like I'm parroting solos up there, where it's like, you know, how many shuffling songs can you do in 4 hours without throwing the same lick in on a solo? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
and all would be discouraged, and unfortunately, I have fallen into that lead singer trap where if I don't have the audience with the energy, I get discouraged because I feel like they're not having fun or they're not enjoying themselves, and I don't like that. I don't like.
Well, I mean, and that's just, you know, being a front man in general. Like, you feed. I mean, as a musician, you literally feed off of the people watching you, and so the more energy, and this is what the Rock Academy class that I just did. We just did our fall performance, and the more the crowd gets into it, the more the band gets into it. So it's just like a self-sustaining animal that feeds itself. And it's, when it happens, it's a beautiful thing. And then when it doesn't happen, it's like, well, now we're both sad.
Yeah.
So
you need to check out. There's this recent hardcore band. It's called Turnstile. their live show, they did a live show on like I think it was like Jimmy Fallon, like somewhere you would never expect them, and they're just like going at it, like doing all this stuff. I'm like, dude. And like when you see like some of their live shows, like when it's like a smaller gig, like they'll have like people just like constantly running over each other, like to get on stage, jumping onto the crowd, people falling through. It's insane, dude.
And then to go on Fallon where
Well, like not they like it's like not even the crowd thing, but like the band still does what they do. Like they're just like going at it, and like it's crazy. That you should check. I'm going to show you that after this.
Okay. Well, see, I like things that are engaging like that. So, I mean, not to like get off topic a little bit, but I hop on Twitch every now and then. I caught you on your one podcast where you did that interview with the one guy. So I have a lot of friends that like stream or they do little things like that. But I think it was so funny. There was a kid who went super viral because he was playing Call of Duty, but not just because he was playing Call of Duty.
I know what you're about to say.
Yeah. Every time that he got a kill, this kid got like 50,000 people like watching his live stream. And whenever he got a kill, he would throw a rave, a 30-second rave every time he got a kill.
Oh my Lord!
It's something you need to see because it's not just like whatever. He has like have fun, like pyrotechnics.
He has pyrotechnics.
Like LEDs.
He's got lights that spin. Like this kid, I mean, like it's intense. And but see, that's the thing. Like that's something that pushes the envelope. You don't see that. That's creative. So
I've never heard of such things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like fatiguing.
I mean, it definitely
like,
is.
Because then it's like, oh, where's the substance, right? But because I've seen a lot of like, because I follow like a lot of Instagram musicians, and the thing I keep seeing is drummers, like a whole thing is just like putting like paints and like flammable stuff on your drum kit. I'm like.
Well, that's been a
like
thing.
You're playing like pop music and you're doing like all this stuff that doesn't need it.
You should be careful with your words because one of your two people that you think very highly of, they drum, and there's videos of them on the internet lighting their cymbals on fire and playing drums. So, just a heads up, you are hurting that person's feelings.
Tell that person to not watch this episode ever, please.
I'm sending it to them now.
Shoot, man.
That's why we need more controversy. Oh man, look at that. We're right at an hour right there. So tell you what, we're doing good.
Yeah,
we're
let's
doing
keep
good.
going.
You can cut out all the crap of me rambling.
Oh no, man, this is probably our best episode so far. I think like
have we even like gotten to like what you
I mean, honestly, I didn't know. I had a
those.
bunch of things like that are super funny to me that I wanted to like go down the rabbit hole a little bit. But tell you what, I want to do something a little different this episode. And I mean, Tim has talked about his playing experience. I talked a little bit about my rock band project back in the day. Nick, I would love to hear what projects you are in or have been a part of.
Oh, I thought I already talked about this.
Well, I want to hear it again. So if we have,
tell me.
Why not make sure the audience hears about them?
Because our fourth special guest,
is
standing right outside that door.
Give it up for. I can't remember your frontman's name.
Is it him?
No.
He really thinks he's out there.
Well, no.
It would have been better if Jenny got home and just opened the door at that exact
I
moment.
think I
He
would
would
have
have
had a
passed.
panic attack.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
all right,
so
here's
what's
the
this
entire cast of Wednesday.
So
Give
what's
it up.
this about?
Oh no, I thought it'd be cool to like talk about like some of the stuff that you guys play or like some of the stuff that you do because I mean we've talked about blues and metal and some of the projects that we've done, but what kind of stuff do you play?
Well, it's funny because all the projects I've been don't reflect like my interests. So
that's all right.
Dope.
I just do it because I like the music.
Hey, that's a good reason to do it though.
That's the only reason you need. It's like and it's like keep trying to vary yourself. Being the most versatile guitarist is the best way you can market yourself. Because frankly, and this might be a hot take. You're getting ready for this.
I'm ready.
All right. Guitarists, and this is gonna be some copium here. Guitarists are the most the most dispensable member of the band.
Ooh,
guitarists are the most dispensable member of the band, and so being like a versatile and being able to come up with ideas and being like active helps you keep that spot, because there's somebody that can play like twice as fast, can write twice as good songs as you can somewhere.
I've never thought about, musicians being like within a project being dispensable though necessarily.
Well, because I feel like I have to be like that, because if you're not thinking objectively, obviously there's subjectivity that needs to be put into it. Like, I like these people. Like that's the only reason. Like, that could be
you're making music with him because they're like, oh
yeah,
he's chill, let's make music.
but that's
absolutely
when what happened with my first band was like we didn't even know each other, and we were just that band fell apart.
You were all single.
Spoiler alert.
Musically single. You were available.
And we were all just
fall
looking,
into it.
We were all just looking to play because we were like 17. Nobody was taking us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and here's the thing: once you turn 21, I guarantee you, because you've never heard Nick play, probably.
Nope.
Both Nick and Tim are both superior players to my ability. They both can.
Hush.
They could skill me in a heartbeat. Whenever you turn 21, I guarantee you, people are going to be like, "Dude, you should come play with me." And like,
I hope so.
Like good established bands, like I guarantee you.
Because like my whole thing, and which might be tough for me, because I want to, I want to be active. I want to be like, hey, I got this idea. Let's do something with it, right? And I feel like going into a band and like being like, hey, check out this idea I wrote, and then just like,
it all gets into it depends on I feel like you'd find the right people for that.
Yeah.
You absolutely will you'll meet people that tell you to come jam. It is their project, and you won't, those ideas aren't welcome. Not in a horrible way. It's just that was the same thing with them. It was their project. So they had ideas, and that's why you get so many new bands, especially around here, is because people have ideas. Some people get asked to play in these bands, not necessarily for their ideas, but for their ability to do stuff.
Which for me is kind of hard to market myself, because and Tom viscerally disagrees with this, but I consider myself a rhythm guitar player. That's just how I play, because I like to come up with ideas. I like to try to push the envelope of songwriting. Not
it's super funny. He considers himself a rhythm guitarist. He can play better than most guitar players in St. Joe's. So like, it's super funny. He's like, no, I suck, man.
Because I just
like most great musicians, self-loathing.
But it's not like that. I swear, it's not like it.
Yeah. No, never mind. Go ahead.
But I like to focus on my songwriting and keep like new ideas, like keep it going. So I don't know, like being versatile and being like open to new stuff is how I stay, like feel like, okay, this is my spot in this band. I've earned it.
Yeah.
And so to finally answer your question, right? So I've been in with a few projects. So my first, like, for a few years, for like half my, I think for most of my guitar career has been in churches. I mean, just playing. I played rhythm when I started out Josh's church, but it was his son that was leading it at that time, which I miss those days.
Yeah,
they were great.
So, I guess follow up. Then, what would be your ideal project then?
What do you mean?
Like, what kind of music do you want to pursue? What do you find engaging, captivating? What stuff would you write if you had the perfect band?
If I had the perfect band, now this is. Let me ask you a question. All right. Can you imagine a color that's never been thought of before?
Yes.
Can you? Really? Because that'd be.
I just wanted
sweet.
to be part of the conversation. Sorry, go. No, it's no.
Well, it's like, because it's like hard to imagine, like even if it was possible outside of like the human like color range that we can see, the color spectrum, like it's still like, how could you?
Yeah.
And so for me, my perfect project would be trying to create something that's never been done before.
I like it.
And that's what I've been trying to do, is like, how do I, like this, my songwriting, how do I make it so that it's new, familiar, but not like intro, verse, chorus, bridge.
So
and
are you saying that like you would almost wish to like start like a new genre or a subculture?
Yeah, that's my goal. That's
That's a hefty goal. I like
for
it.
me. That's what I'm aiming to do.
I mean, my writing for like Kindred. I mean, what would you say that like the genre that Kindred was? Did you ever watch us play?
Oh yeah.
Like what kind of what stylistically what would you tank us? We were a weird genre because we were like jazzy pop rock, but like
not for a cop out, but yeah, you just took it out of my mouth.
I
Throw the word indie in there. I think just because it was outside of my spectrum, but yeah, jazzy pop rock because it was a lot more elegant than just your normal 3-piece.
Yeah. But I mean, we ran a 3-piece for our rock band. We, at the very end of Kindred, we added a bass player and then immediately never played a show again. It was super funny.
Always the bass players.
We added a new. Well, but I mean, not our original bass player. I still consider us the trio originally. But yeah, we ran me as the front man on guitar and vocals, and then we ran bass and drums. And so with a 3-piece, which you can attest to that in Mondays, running a 3-piece, it's hard to do sometimes, like to be like creative with like voicings and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I wanted to do indie alternative. I would say indie alternative is a good way to look at a spectrum of what we did. So I really like lush chords, like major 7/9s and stuff like that, because I've got a real heavy jazz influence, but I have a really heavy like rock influence too. So I kind of gravitate more towards not normal stuff, and so it's not to say that that's kind of what I was aiming for, but it's just what kind of happened, you know. So like I really enjoy bands like Circa Survive or The Reign of Kindo, they're like chill ambient extended chords, like you've got these really cool voicings, so and that's always kind of what I've gravitated towards. So I don't know, it's kind of
and so like that's my whole thing is I want to try to do something new, but also because obviously there's a point like there's like a spectrum of like originality and quality, I believe, sometimes. Now obviously you can get to the point where you can strike like your original and good. I feel like we're at the point where I don't think that can happen anymore. But surprise me.
I think you get, because it's so saturated out there. And we were talking about how easy it is for people to just put things out. I kind of view it as try to look for the positive and everything. I will take it as a positive that there's so much, it's so saturated that people have to go out and find something they like now. Whereas once upon a time, it was what's delivered to you before you head off to school on MTV VH1 or whatever your friend's going to say or whatever they're talking about out loud. Not that music that they hush and be like, dude, have you heard this? Like, I don't want to talk about it out loud because I don't want people to judge me. But this stuff is killer. That stuff, you have to go find that stuff now. Which that freight, I'll boast about Freight Train Rabbit Killer to anyone who will listen, because I want everyone to know about that band, just so they can say they don't like it or they want to pass on it, or at least they were introduced to it. Yeah. So I would say take it as a positive. There's so much saturation out there that people have to go find stuff.
Yeah,
I agree.
And this isn't like my complex speaking, but I feel like I've found like an ear to know if like music is bad and why I feel that way, why it's bad, which is but I just feel like a lot of it is bad, and not say to just just.
When you say music is bad, like what in the sense of what do you mean? Like
this could be a whole conversation right here, because this is stuff I've been thinking about for months, man.
So I mean, well, you say that's a really like broad, statement to say. So I mean, like, let's make it easy. We can expand this on another episode. I feel like part two, or we can wrap this up because do we want to wrap it up now?
How are we feeling about part 2?
You want to do a part 2, Tim?
I say we just keep going and release it in second parts.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. This is into part 1. Well, and actually, you know what? Yeah, tell you what. We'll wrap things up here. We'll call this part 1, and then maybe we'll just, I guess, start.
I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'm gonna go wash my hands, drink something, crack my knuckles. We're coming back for part 2.
Yeah, we are.
All right, you better believe it. All right.
For the subject of what music is bad and why.
Yeah.
Here on 24 minutes. Whatever that shit
All right,
is.
yeah, whatever this is. All right, well, thank you guys so much. This is our end of part 1. We'll have part 2 coming
This
up
was
here
Tim.
shortly. Yeah, this is Tim.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sure. Thanks.
All right,
See
brief
you guys.
break, and then we'll be back.